Hi guys, we're looking at a new amp today from Mesa Boogie. The amp's called the Fillmore. It's kind of, this one caught us a little bit by surprise because it was only kind of dropped on us at last minute that it was going to be coming out, but I'm really pleased to see it's coming to the lineup because it's something that's, for more selfish reasons, probably appeals to me a little bit more over you know, some of the other high gain amps that they do. It's kind of a little bit more like the old-fashioned kind of original Boogies, you know, where Randall Smith kind of used to hot rod old Fender amps, Princetons, and try and get as much gain and volume and sustain out of them as possible. You know, and for a lot of guys and a lot of players, they'll play through this amp and feel at home on it straight away if you're used to more traditional sounding amps. And also it's with Boogie, they've really stripped this one back, but given you a lot of really cool features that will kind of help you out on gigs and also you know, help you really dial in the sweet spot. So it's a 50 watt amp with 6 L6s. It's got 5 12AX7s. It's basically a 2-channel amp that's got each channel kind of, well, each channel is cloned. So on each channel you have a clean, like a low gain sort of in-betweeny type sort of sound, and then a more traditional thick, you know, driven Boogie type sort of tone. So on that second in-between sound is kind of called drive mode. So what you could do is set, obviously, I guess a lot of players when they'll come in and test it out, they would set up the clean channel really clean, and then the high gain sound on the second channel, you know, really dirty with kind of screaming sustain and stuff. But for me, I prefer to use this amp kind of with both channels kind of set pretty similar, because when I play, I really like to have a nice clean sound and then use pedals to get my driven sound. But the problem with that is if you dial in the amp to be really nice and clean and rich and warm sounding on that first channel with the right amount of brightness, some overdrives and fuzzies can sound a bit kind of nasty and a bit fizzy sounding. So you almost need that little bit of drive in the background just to fill out the sound of the pedals a little bit more. So what I'm going to be doing is setting the clean channel really clean. You know, not super spanky kind of you know, EJ type sort of clean, but you know, just a clean where it's got a little bit of give when you dig in, so you can still do some clean soloing. And then the second channel, I'm using the drive mode, but with the gain down pretty low, just to kind of give me a dirtier sounding version of that clean channel. So and then I can hit it with an overdrive or a boost pedal just to give me some extra kind of sustain when you know, when we go up the top end and stuff like that as well. So I mean, a lot of guys, you know, on a lot of amp demos, you know, I know I should probably be saying, oh, you know, we're plugging straight into the amp, we're not using anything else, but in the real world, people use pedals, and kind of Boogie know that, so they've released this amp to give the modern player the flexibility to be able to use your pedal board. Plus, you know, if you are a real traditionalist, you can just plug straight into the amp and go from clean to dirty just with a flick of the button. So I'm going to start off by just giving you a quick run through. Later on in the video, we're going to get Jack to give you a run through of some of the higher gain sounds with some humbuckers, and perhaps we could get Jack to do a similar kind of thing where he would set, you know, how he would set the amp up in kind of a gigging environment scenario, etc, etc. So I'm going to start off with the clean channel and just give a quick run through that. Just a quick note: the amp is switchable from 50 to 25 watts. And that's a global setting, so it's not like on the Lone Star where you could have it on 30, sorry, the Lone Star Special where you could have it 13, 15 and 5 on one, and then, you know, and then a different one on each channel. It's just a global standard setting, so you either run it at 50 or 25. So for me, again, that works really well. I'd want that high headroom clean sound, 50 watts, and then because it's got that cloned second channel, I can just dial in a little bit of drive and just get a nice bit of extra sustain going on that channel. So using an exotic XSC2, just a fairly similar guitar to what I would probably normally use, and having the humbucker on it will give me that extra flexibility when I want to kind of make it a little bit gainier sounding. So this is the clean channel. So channel 1 here on the left, this is the clean channel. really big, bold kind of clean sound. It's got that really nice bright treble, but it never like cuts your head off with that like harshness that a lot of these sort of clean pedally type sort of amps have. There, just when I dig in a little bit harder, just starting to get a tiny little bit of break up on the bottom end, but that's the kind of sound that I like with a Strat. So. Cool, so I'm going to switch over to the second channel now. So I'm using it on the drive mode. So you'll hear when I switch that over, it's not going massively gainy. It's just adding kind of a little bit of extra mid-range and kind of a little bit extra sustain. So when I do kick in the pedals, it's kind of going to add that kind of extra fullness to it as well, and kind of give me just basically a slightly dirtier version of the clean channel. So this is on that channel now. So when you go to the in-between tones, you still get that nice spanky sound. So I'll just quickly go back to that clean so you've got a decent reference again. So really nice and spanky. So back to the gain channel now. It's just got that kind of extra mid-range and a little bit of nice extra sustain, so still sounds clean for single note stuff. But now when I push in the drive pedal, it kind of sounds even fatter, and it kind of just gives you that extra sustain that you need to use with a lot of drives for my preference anyway. So I'm using a King Tone Guitar Dualist Overdrive, and this is on the right hand channel, the string singer tone. So. So that's with the pedal on, pedal off. So I'm going to leave that drive pedal on now and switch back to the clean. I mean, you can hear on that sound, it's really nice and fat. It's really bringing out the Strat tone. It's not too compressed or too gainy. You can still hear what it's trying to be. I always feel that this type of pedal is better into a slightly gainier sound. So when I now put that back on the clean channel, it sounds much brighter and much more attacking. See what I mean? It sounds better into a slightly more driven sound like this. if I really want to up the gain level and get into some much thicker sounds, just go to a slightly higher driven sound on the dual lift pedal. So it's got that in there as well. But I like to be able to have that flexibility to then still have that grubby sort of sound going on, and then when I switch back to that clean with all the pedals off, you've still got that lovely high headroom, warm. So I'm just going to give you one more quick run through, no pedals on the second channel. So just quickly pushing in that boost pedal now, just to hit the front end of the amp a little bit harder. Cool. So I've gone through a few different sounds there for you. Jack's going to be up next, showing you how it's really done. So enjoy and let us know what you think. Cheers.
All right, folks, it's Jack here. So we're doing a continuation on the Mesa Boogie Fillmore 50 combo video. So you'll have just seen John playing and talking through in a bit more detail about the features on the amplifier. What I'm going to do is just play with a couple of different guitars. So John was playing with a kind of S-style exotic. I'm going to play a Sir Alt T, and later on a Les Paul for some of the higher gain stuff. So it gives you a bit of context with a humbucker type of tone. So just dialed in a couple of sounds on the amp I'm going to talk you through as I play them. And also we want to explore what the amp sounds like with some pedals. So I've got a couple of overdrives and a delay and stuff like that, all going into the front of the amp, and I'll talk you through when I kick those in, just so you can see how the amp takes pedals as well. So what we're on at the moment is the green channel. The two channels are identical, but I'm using the green channel as my clean. So a little bit of a mid scoop and pushing the treble and the bass up a bit to kind of get that classic American kind of clean. I'm on the clean mode as well, and later on I'll switch to the drive mode on that channel and you'll hear what that sounds like. So here's the clean with the neck humbucker on the Sir. So that's a fairly typical American clean sound, really punchy, and it's actually very tight and very stiff in its response, which is something that I really value because, like I was going to talk about with the pedals, it enables them to sound as good as they can sound, I feel. So what I'm going to do now is add in an SP compressor from Exotic and an MXR carbon copy delay so we can get a nice ambient kind of clean tone. Let's go for the middle position on the guitar. So here's the dry signal one more time, and then you'll hear me add those pedals in. So here's the compressor and the delay. So lovely, big, rich, clean sound. I'm going to turn those off and I'm going to add in a couple of overdrives. So start with the Wampler Tumnus, which is kind of a mainstay in our videos for a little bit of boost. So you hear what that does to the front end of the amp. And here's the Tumnus. Okay, so that's the clean channel. What I'm going to do now is stay on the same channel but move to the drive setting on the same channel. So what that does is just tightens it up a little bit, adds in a bit more preamp gain. So I'll play you the clean one more time, then I'll hit that switch and you'll hear the difference. So here's the clean. So a really nice kind of edge of breakup tone that's good. Again, good with pedals, but I'll just play the amp by itself for the moment. So as you'll have just heard, it cleans up really well with the guitar volume as well, which is a nice thing to have. So that's kind of a really good basis. I'm going to add in one more pedal and then we're going to move over to the other channel. So I'm going to stick with the crunch sound, the drive setting on the amp. I'm going to add in a Rocket Blue Note overdrive so for a little bit more sustain, so you'll hear that now. So to my ear, that suits really kind of a nice classic rock lead sound where the high gain setting on the amp is really thick, and that's nice for certain things, but for me, if you want to go for a more classic sound, hitting a boost pedal into a sort of semi-distorted amp is the way to do it. So I'm going to play a little bit of a lead line on the neck pickup. So what I'm going to do is switch over to Gibson Les Paul now, and we're going to move to the red channel, which is set up for some high gain tones, so bear with me one sec. Alright, so I'm playing on Les Paul now, as you can see, and I moved over to the red channel, and I'm using the drive setting, and I pushed the mid-range up a little bit and pulled back on the treble and presence, so it's getting more of a kind of smooth rock sound, but it's still really tight and in the bass response, so if I play, you know, big open chords, you hear every note of the chord. So again, going for that kind of mid-gain with a boost pedal for a nice classic lead sound, I'm going to add in the tumness on this setting right now with the Les Paul. It's still a really dynamic sound, not too much gain going on. I've got the gain on the amp at about just past 12 o'clock and a little bit of boost from the pedal. So it's not crazy gain, but the sustain is there and it's a nice full sound. So just to continue on with that, I'm going to switch to the high gain setting on the amp now, not changing any of the EQs or anything like that. So here's without any pedals, just straight into the amp. So it's a little bit thicker when I go to that high gain setting. Compression comes in a little bit more, but it's still really clear, which is unusual with kind of higher levels of gain. So just for the final tone you're going to hear from me is going to be this tone with the blue note overdrive added back in. It's just going to smooth it out and get kind of a massive lead tone. So here we go. Alright folks, thanks so much for watching this video on the Mesa Boogie Fillmore amp. As you can tell, John and I both really enjoyed playing through it. There's a multitude of great tones from it. So it's a really fantastic little bit of kit. Come and check it out in store if you can. And if you want to, you can check it out on our website at peachguitars.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.